Welcome to the deep dive. We're all about plunging into the lives of, well, history's most fascinating figures. And often you find their legends, they're way more complex than you might think.
Absolutely.
Today, we're zeroing in on a name most people link straight to Stoicism, Lucius Annaeus Seneca.
Right, the philosopher.
But his life wasn't some quiet, philosophical retreat, not at all. It was this crazy maze of contradictions, really, a huge contrast to the ideals he wrote about.
Yeah, that's the fascinating part.
So the core question, the thing we really want to get into today is this. How did this man, Seneca, who wrote so beautifully about virtue, about temperance, tranquility,
All the Stoic pillars.
exactly, how did he end up becoming one of the wealthiest guys in Rome and serving this, truly tyrannical emperor Nero?
And then facing accusations of being a massive hypocrite.
Right. It's a real puzzle, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And that's what we're here to unpack for you today. This deep dive, we're really digging into Seneca's journey. We're leaning heavily on the sources, especially Ryan Holiday's Lives of Stoics, to understand, well, what we're calling Seneca the striver.
The striver. I like that.
Yeah, a man who clearly had this ambition, this craving for fame and power. And his life, gosh, it offers such deep, sometimes kind of uncomfortable insights into, human ambition compromise.
And that constant struggle for wisdom when you're stuck in the middle of the real world's mess.
Precisely.
So we're setting the stage for you. Our mission today, let's walk through Seneca's whole story from his birth back in Spain around 4 BC.
Lay back.
All the way to his, let's be honest, incredibly dramatic suicide in 65 AD. We want to explore his life and see what lessons, maybe even some unsettling ones, his super complex life holds for you today.
Okay, let's jump in.
So diving right in, it's clear Seneca wasn't your typical quiet philosopher, hidden away somewhere. What hits you immediately is how much he actively craved fame after death.
Which is kind of unstoic, right?
Totally. Many Stoics just dismissed posthumous fame. But Seneca, he worked for it, performed for it. The sources say his ambition, his will to power might have even rivaled Cicero's.
Wow. Cicero, that's a high bar.
Right. But here's the paradox. Centuries later, he's way more widely read than many others because his writings on human struggles, on finding tranquility and wisdom, are just so relatable.
It's a fascinating split, isn't it? And his background, well, it definitely points towards influence. Born into a pretty wealthy, learned family in Cordoba, Spain, around 4 BC, Seneca was, you could say, destined for big things.
Set up for success from the start.
Seems like it. His father, Seneca the Elder, made sure he got the best education, hired Attalus the Stoic as his tutor. And Attalus wasn't just about morals, he was known for his eloquence.
Ah, so teaching him how to persuade, too.
Exactly. He pushed Seneca towards active learning, debating, a really practical philosophy. Attalus taught him the point of studying philosophy was to, and this is a great quote, take away with him some one good thing every day. He should return home a sounder man, or on the way to becoming sounder.
I love that. Philosophy not just as thinking, but as daily doing, tangible improvement.
Right, and Seneca was all in, a real star student. He apparently laid siege to the classroom, first one there, last one to leave.
Eager beaver.
Totally. And he experimented, dabbled in Pythagoras, Epicurus, even went vegetarian for a while because of Pythagorean ideas.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. And his father, kind of cool, just patiently let him explore, which, is maybe a good lesson for parents today, letting kids find their own path.
For sure. Give them space.
So Seneca develops these personal habits like journaling every night. Inspired by another philosopher, Sextius, he'd plead his cause before the bar of self.
Like a self-trial each night.
Kind of. Review the day, forgive himself for messing up, but also commit to doing better. Saying something like, see that you don't do that again, but now I forgive you.
Wow, that's intense self-reflection. But practical.
Very. But then, just as his legal career is taking off, he's only in his early 20s, bam! Fortune throws a wrench in the works.
Oh, no.
He had this ongoing lung issue, probably tuberculosis, the sources suggest. And it got bad enough that he had to basically drop everything and spend a decade recovering in Alexandria, Egypt.
A whole decade. Just as things were starting.
Yep. Which really makes you think, how do you react when life just completely demolishes your plans? When that clear path you saw just vanishes?
Yeah, that's a tough one. 10 years is a long time to be sidelined, especially when you're ambitious.
He spent it writing, reading, trying to get stronger. And his uncle was the prefect of Egypt then, so the sources say Seneca got a real education in how power operated, sort of behind the curtain.
So not entirely wasted time, maybe? Learning the ropes differently?
Perhaps. But he also got a brutal lesson in how fickle fate is. News came that his old tutor, Attalus,
The one who taught him so much.
that's the one, banished by Emperor Tiberius, forced to dig ditches.
Oh, wow. From respected philosopher to manual labor, just like that.
Yeah, a harsh early lesson for Seneca about walking that razor's edge, especially as a philosopher in imperial Rome. One wrong word, one powerful enemy.
And your life could be turned upside down. Okay, so after 10 years, he finally gets back to Rome. He's 35 now. It's around 31 AD. Things must be better.
Not exactly. Rome was even more chaotic. His uncle dies in a shipwreck. Then Sejanus, who was Tiberius's right-hand man,
Yeah, I know that story. Didn't end well.
no, condemned, torn apart by a mob. And that's the environment Seneca steps into public office in, as a quaestor, navigating the reigns of Tiberius and then Caligula. Brutal times.
Just constant danger, it sounds like. How did he cope?
He found inspiration in people like Julius Canis, another Stoic. Caligula ordered his execution, and while waiting, Canis was apparently playing chess and joked he was one piece ahead.
Gosh, that's incredible composure. Facing death with a joke.
It really is.
Yeah.
And Seneca himself had a close call with Caligula, nearly executed.
What for? Some big conspiracy.
Nope. Simply because he argued a case too well in the Senate, and Caligula got annoyed.
You're kidding? That's insane.
Totally. He was only saved because someone whispered to Caligula that Seneca had consumption in an advanced stage and would die before a great while. Anyway, basically, don't bother, he's dying soon.
Wow. Talk about fragility, your life hanging by a thread because the emperor's having a bad day.
It really underscores how precarious everything was under those rulers. Even just doing your job well could be fatal.
Okay, so he survives Caligula. Surely things have to get better now.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But nope, life throws him another curveball. Actually, a whole series of them. In less than 2 years.
What now?
He loses his father, he gets married, then, tragically, he loses his firstborn son.
Oh, heartbreaking.
And then get this 20 days after burying his son. He's banished to Corsica by the next emperor, Claudius. Banished. Again. What for this time?
Murky charges of adultery. The truth is kind of debated, but the result was the same. His career, just getting back on track, was cut capriciously short. Again.
Man, that is just relentless. 8 years in Corsica, you said.
Yeah.
That must have been the ultimate test for his stoicism.
Absolutely. 8 long years. And this is when he writes On Anger, dedicating it to his brother. He's really applying that Stoic self-talk to his own situation, trying to process the rage, the injustice.
I bet.
And this period also fuels his deep thinking about death. He comes up with this idea that our big mistake is thinking death is something we look forward to, something in the future.
How so?
He argues that most of death is already gone. Whatever time has passed is owned by death. It's like we're actually dying bit by bit every single day.
Whoa. That's a heavy thought. Dying every day.
Yeah. And no day, once dead, can be revived.
It's a powerful way to reframe mortality, isn't it? Makes you think about the present moment.
It really does. Stuck on an island, watching the days tick by. I can see how he'd arrive at that. Did he write anything else there?
He wrote a play, too, capturing how random and, well, capricious fate can be. It has this line, "No one has had so much divine favor that they could guarantee themselves tomorrow."
Wow. And he was living proof of that, wasn't he? Success, failure, pain, pleasure, never knowing what was coming next.
Exactly. It wasn't just theory for him. It was his life story, usually in exactly the form he was not expecting.
Okay, so career seems totally finished now. 2 exiles, personal tragedy. What happens next? Don't tell me fate steps in again.
You guessed it. Just when it looks like it's game over for Seneca, fate pulls probably its biggest twist yet.
Google on.
It's 50 AD. He's 53 years old, and he gets recalled to Rome by Agrippina,
Nero's mother.
the very one. And why? To be the tutor for her 12-year-old son, Nero.
No way. From exile on Corsica straight to tutoring the future emperor.
Yep. Suddenly, this subversive but marginalized figure is right back in the thick of it, at the absolute center of imperial power. Talk about a change in fortunes.
That's got to be the ultimate Faustian bargain, right?
You could definitely see it that way. And Agrippina, let's be clear, she wasn't hiring him for Stoic virtue lessons.
No. What does she want then?
She wanted his brain, his political savvy, his rhetorical skill. She was grooming Nero for power, and Seneca was a tool for that. His lessons were mostly law, oratory, how to wield absolute power.
Which is kind of the opposite of the old Stoic Republican ideals like Cato represented.
A stark contrast. The sources suggest Seneca's best hope was maybe to moderate some of Nero's worst tendencies and maybe keep some autonomy for himself. It was a high-wire act from day one.
It really makes you wonder, though. Could he have done more if he'd been more, I don't know, optimistic? Or is getting involved in a system like that always a losing game? Does trying to change it from within just make you complicit?
That's the million sisters question, isn't it? And one Seneca must have grappled with constantly. His view, or maybe his justification, was that a Stoic had a duty to serve the state, even an empire, if there was a chance to do some good.
Duty and maybe ambition still playing a role.
Oh, absolutely. Let's not forget the ambition. One of the first things he does is present Nero with this work, De Clementia, on clemency.
Trying to influence him towards mercy.
Exactly. It was pretty revolutionary, arguing how the powerful should treat the powerless. It was advice for Nero, but also, for any leader.
Right.
A plea for restraint.
There's that statue, right? The Spanish sculptor, Barón. It captures that moment perfectly.
Oh, yeah, the 1904 one. It's brilliant. You see Seneca, all earnest, toga draped, pointing at a text.
Trying to instill some wisdom.
And then there's Nero, slumped, sullen, covered in jewels, fists clenched, staring at the floor. Looks like he wants to be anywhere else.
Totally. Seneca must have known deep down that Nero wasn't really listening, didn't he?
Probably. But he kept trying, hoping some of it, any of it, would get through. He knew the stakes were incredibly high. You can almost feel the tension in that sculpture.
So did it work? At least for a while?
Surprisingly, yes. For the first few years, Seneca, along with Perils, the military guy.
Right, the Praetorian prefect.
Yeah, they actually managed things pretty well. Nero's early reign wasn't bad. Seneca even became consul. It seemed like maybe, just maybe, it could work.
But there's always a but, isn't there?
Always. Just like Seneca's own writing on fate predicted, it didn't last. Nero's dark side started to emerge. First, he murders his stepbrother, Britannicus. Then, after a few botched attempts, he manages to murder his own mother, Agrippina.
The woman who brought Seneca back. Wow.
Yeah. The restrained but waiting Nero was gone. He was fully unleashed now.
So what did Nero do then?
Tacitus puts it chillingly. Nero deferred no more on long meditated crimes. He basically checked out of governing, started racing chariots, performing on stage.
Like an actor. While Rome burned, metaphorically speaking.
Pretty much. And this is where Seneca's position gets really uncomfortable. He's horrified by all this, clearly. But he doesn't leave.
Why not? That's the huge question, isn't it? Why stay?
It's complex. The sources point to a few things. Fear is definitely part of it. He knew firsthand what emperors could do, banishment, murder. It wasn't abstract for him.
He'd nearly died himself under Caligula.
Exactly. And maybe there was still a sliver of hope, that he could still exert some positive influence, or at least limit the damage. He wrote something like, "We're just wicked people living among wicked people. Only one thing can give us peace, and that's a pact of mutual leniency."
Trying to find common ground, even in depravity, or maybe just rationalize staying.
That's the debate. And it leads to the other big, maybe less flattering explanation. Self-interest.
Ah, the wealth.
The immense wealth. Under Nero, Seneca becomes fabulously rich. We're talking some 300 million sesterces. The sources call him the richest Stoic on earth.
Richest Stoic on earth. That sounds like an oxymoron.
Doesn't it? And get this. He apparently owned 500 identical citrus wood tables with ivory legs just for entertaining.
500 identical tables for entertaining.
Yep. Imagine this Stoic philosopher, supposedly from a school, valuing simplicity, throwing these like Gatsby-esque parties. It's a jarring image.
Jarring is putting it mildly. What happened to detachment? Frugality. This screens hypocrisy.
And he was accused of it. A senator, P. Suilius, attacked him for it. Now, Suilius probably had his own motives.
But there was some truth to it.
The sources concede that, yeah, there was at least some truth there. Seneca himself, in his essay on the happy life, set a really high bar. Wealth should be got without harm to any man, without base dealing, and spent just as honorably.
A standard he pretty clearly didn't meet, owning 500 ivory-legged tables funded by Nero.
Seems not. And it gets darker. Those drops of red on his wealth, they became literal.
How so?
He lent a huge sum, 40 million sesterces, at really high interest rates, to Rome's colony in Britain.
Okay.
Well, some historians argue this aggressive loan sharking basically helped trigger a massive, bloody rebellion, a Boudicca's rebellion, which then needed Roman legions to crush brutally.
Wow. So his financial dealings might have directly led to violence and death?
It's a disturbing possibility. It's like the source says. He was groomed for greatness, he persevered through so much, but maybe he never really stopped and questioned any of it, never asked where this was leading him and whether it was worth it. The ambition just kept pulling him along.
Until it was too late. So did he ever try to get out?
He did, finally.
Yeah.
By 62 AD, it seems the compromises were just too much. He actually tried to give all his wealth back to Nero.
Seriously. Offered it all back.
Yeah. Pleaded with Nero, saying things like, I cannot any longer bear the burden of my wealth. I crave assistance. Basically, take it back, let me retire.
But Nero wouldn't let him just walk away clean.
No. Once you're in that deep with someone like Nero, it's not easy to just resign.
Yeah.
You know too much. You're too useful or too dangerous.
And things just kept getting worse in Rome, right?
The Great Fire.
Oh, yeah. 64 AD, massive fire, devastates Rome. Rumors fly that Nero started it himself, maybe to clear land for a new palace.
And he blamed the Christians. Yep. Scapegoated them horribly. St. Paul might have been killed in that persecution. Imagine Seneca watching this, knowing he'd tutored this man. He must have felt overwhelming guilt. He was even called Corregidor de Scala's tyrant teacher.
Tyrant teacher, ouch.
He must have realized then, echoing someone like Confucius, that when the state is so rotten as to be past helping, the wise man will not labor in vain. He'd been laboring in vain for years.
So what did he do if he couldn't fully retire?
He seemed to finally realize, maybe a bit late, that he could still serve people, just quietly, through his writing.
Turning inward, or rather outward in a different way.
Exactly. He embraced it, said he was working for later generations, found real joy and creativity again, apparently, wrote On Leisure, and those hugely influential moral letters.
The ones to Lucilius.
That's right, addressed to his friend Lucilius, but clearly meant for a much wider audience. He was still aiming for that immortal fame he craved.
Just through philosophy now, not politics.
Right. Doing, as he put it, more good than when I appear as counsel in court.
It's a powerful shift, finding meaning where you actually can make an impact, especially when the political world is so corrupt.
And he seemed to process his own life, his own compromises, in his writing. His play Thyestes is incredibly dark, full of betrayal and horror, and has this line, crimes often return to their teacher.
Chilling. Directed at himself, maybe.
You have to wonder. He seemed to finally grasp, really internalize, that the greatest empire is to be emperor of oneself. A lesson learned very late, perhaps.
Just as things were coming to a head with Nero, did Nero try to get rid of him before the end?
Yeah, apparently Nero tried to poison him first. But ironically, Seneca had adopted a really simple, frugal diet by then, so the poison didn't work effectively.
Huh. His late-life attempt at Stoic living saved him from the first attempt.
Seems so. But it was only a temporary reprieve. In 65 AD, a major conspiracy against Nero, the Pisonian conspiracy, failed. Seneca was implicated, maybe fairly, maybe not, it's unclear. But for Nero, it was enough.
So Nero ordered his suicide.
He did. No clemency. Despite Seneca's own treatise on the subject, written for Nero years before, the ultimate bitter irony.
How did Seneca face it? Did he finally embody the Stoic ideal?
This is where Seneca, in his final moments, really seems to summon that courage and clarity. He faced death head-on. His friends were weeping, and he apparently gently chided them.
What did he say?
Something like, "Where are your maxims of philosophy or the reparation of so many years' study against evils to come? Who knew not Nero's cruelty?"
Basically, pull yourself together. You knew this could happen. We knew what Nero was.
Wow, holding them to the standard even then.
He hugged his wife, Paulina. She actually tried to die with him, cutting her wrists too, though Nero apparently ordered her saved. His own death. It wasn't
Right.
quick.
No.
No.
Yeah.
The sources say death did not come so willingly. He cut his veins, but being old, his blood flowed slowly. He took poison, but it didn't work quickly. He finally had to be carried into a steam bath to suffocate.
Gosh, a drawn-out, almost theatrical end. Very theatrical. Defiant, in a way. A final, painful practice of what he preached. Paintings of his death often show him how he probably wanted to be remembered. Lean, dignified, calm. Finally, the perfect Stoic he could not live up to in life.
And what happened after? All that wealth?
Gone. His body was disposed of quietly, as he'd apparently requested long before. Focused on legacy, perhaps. Everything he'd gained, power, riches, influence, all lost. Except, as the source says, for the books we now have.
Which is, in the end, an incredible legacy. So wrapping this up, what does this incredibly complicated life mean for you listening today?
I mean, Seneca's journey is just this huge, complex maze, isn't it? Full of contradictions. The ambitious philosopher chasing fame.
The Stoic who got incredibly rich serving a tyrant.
The teacher whose student became a monster, whose crimes maybe returned to him.
And yet the man who faced his own death with such profound Stoic dignity in the end.
Yeah. His story doesn't give you easy answers, does it? It really challenges you to think about that line between ambition and compromise, between duty and self-interest.
It forces you to ask, can we really keep our ideals separate from the pressures of power and money? Or are they always tangled together?
It's messy.
Seneca himself said, "The one who puts the finishing touches on their life each day is never short of time." His legacy isn't just the philosophy on the page, maybe. It's the struggle itself. This brilliant, incredibly flawed man trying, and often failing, to lure it out in a really tough world.
And think about this. If even he, the richest Stoic on earth, who literally wrote the book on this stuff, struggled so deeply with his own principles,
Yeah.
well, what does that tell us about the challenges we face? Trying to live a good, principled life today with all our own complexities and temptations swirling around us.
But that is definitely something to mull over. We hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the absolutely extraordinary life of Seneca the Striver.
Yeah, lots to think about there.
Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep digging deeper.